Hey guys, so today I'll be answering your questions that I had asked you to submit because I had reached 5,000 subscribers. I had put it on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and I think that's it. So I collected all the questions and now I'm going to answer them. Okay, so first we're going to start off with Instagram, and the first question is from my friend Dusk and Her Embrace on Instagram, and they said, "Well done, keep going. Your videos always make my day more enjoyable, and they've cheered me up during some tough and lonely times." I really appreciate that. If you could click your fingers and go back in time to change anything from your life, what would it be, if anything? That's like a really hard question because I wanted to say like the obvious answer is I would wish that I had never gotten Lyme disease because it has really taken a toll on my life. And now I think, I don't want to be like conspiracy theory, but ever since I got vaccinated, I feel my Lyme symptoms have flared up and they've become worse. Because I had gotten to a point where I was doing okay, but now I just feel like really bad again. So I try to read up on some information about it, and some people had also said that their Lyme kind of came back after they got vaccine. It could be other things, it could be stress and depression and anxiety and stuff like that. But so not to keep going off on a tangent, but so I would say I would go back into the time when I got bit by the tick and got Lyme disease. But I think that if that hadn't have happened, I would have never been on YouTube and I would have never met all of you guys. Because the reason why I initially went to YouTube was to find more information about Lyme, and then I wanted to make videos about what I was suffering from as far as my Lyme symptoms, because there wasn't a lot of information out there about it. So that's why I started YouTube. And if I never got Lyme, I would have never started YouTube. So it's really, that's like a really tricky question because like obviously I don't want this disease, but then I would have never been on YouTube. So I don't know. If I could change anything besides that and like still have been able to, discover YouTube, I don't know. Nothing like really major stands out about going back and doing things. Maybe I would have pursued something more as far as like my education, because after I was just so dead set on just getting out of high school, and I was like, I don't want to go to school anymore after this. Like, I'm done. Like, I just really disliked school a lot. And I never aspired to like do anything more once I got out. Besides, I went to hairdressing school, but that wasn't really like anything I really wanted to do. So maybe I would go back and maybe have gone to college and experienced the whole college thing, like living at college and going there and learning more, which a lot of people had done, and I never experienced that. Besides going to parties at colleges, but that's it. Next question is from my friend Rob Lee, who I've done the movies with. And he said, "What is your favorite episode you've done?" So my favorite YouTube episode, I don't know, because there's so many that like I've enjoyed, especially the travel vlogs that I do. Like those are my favorite. I really like doing those because I get to experience these awesome things and see new places, and then I get to share them with you guys. So I'd probably say like one of my trips that I took, maybe like to Ireland or France, maybe England, because I want to say maybe the England one because I met some of my fellow goth YouTubers and like friends online there, and like that was amazing. It was a really cool experience to actually like meet people and hang out, and so I would probably say that trip, the England trip. Next question is from Retro Death, and his question is, what is a spooky thing you haven't done yet but would really love to do? So I would really love to stay in Dracula's castle. in Transylvania. It's like a thing, well, it used to be, I don't know if it is anymore, but it was an actual thing that you could do. Like they would do like overnights where you could just stay there. Like obviously like probably tour the castle and stuff and sleep overnight. I feel like that would be like so creepy but like awesome at the same time. I'm dying to do that. I really need to look into that to see if that's something that they still even do anymore. Let me know if any of you guys have done it before, because I know I have seen stuff in the past and I've discussed it with a couple of my friends. So it has to be something. I didn't just make that up in my head. They definitely did do it. So let me know if any of you guys have actually done that before. Another one from Instagram, my friend Jimmy. He says, if you could spend a visiting time on Halloween, would it be either at a haunted house or a graveyard? I'd probably say a haunted house because, like, the fun haunted houses, like the ones that they actually set up, like a fake one, like not like real haunted house, because I can go to a graveyard basically anytime, and they don't have haunted houses all the time except for around Halloween time. And I really enjoy going. I try to go to at least one every year. They're just like one of my favorite things to do. I don't know, it's just like, it's not really necessarily spooky, but it's just like, it's like fun and, to laugh and like, get jump scared and stuff like that. So, and just see like all the different props that the different places do and all the work and the effort that they do. It's just a lot of fun. Another question is from Saniz, I'm pronouncing that right, 1968. What would you tell the baby bat of you if you could travel back in time? I would probably tell myself to maybe learn more about the goth subculture, like studying up on it. I mean, it was hard because like we didn't have, like back in the 90s when I like started getting into goth and goth music, the computer was not like something where you really researched much stuff, you know what I mean? Like we didn't have that like we have now. It's like crazy. Mine was just, hanging out with people and in clubs and stuff like that. So I don't know, I wish I would have learned more about the background of goth and probably gotten into more of the music, listened to more of it, because I listened to some but not like a whole lot, and I'm just like basically over the past, I don't know, 10 years now, whatever, 8 years, I've been getting into it more and learning about new bands and hearing new music. So I wish back then I had known more, because I was very limited on what I had listened to because it was through like word of mouth, or like, the friends were playing it in the car or something like that. Now, these questions are from YouTube, a post that I made on YouTube, and this is from Jane Wilkes. And she says, very many congrats to you. My question is, what music would you want to leave your son if you could only leave one album? Oh my God. That is like so hard. I don't know. It's like a tie between The Cure, Disintegration, and probably Typo Negative's October Rust. I know that, The Cure is more on the goth side of music, and I would say Typo Negative is more metal. I know people consider them like gothic metal, which I do too, but I don't consider them outright goth music, you know what I mean? That's like really, do I have to pick one? Oh my God. I can't do it. It has to be between those two. I really don't think that I could. It's like, I'm just like really torn, you know what I mean? Because I really love October Rust. Like for October Rust, that's like basically like one of my favorite albums. And that style of music is just so unique that Typo Negative made. I feel like there's not a whole heck of a lot of bands that sound like that. Where The Cure is just like so iconic, and that's who I listened to, like, growing up stuff. Like how I really got into like goth music was because of The Cure. So it's just really difficult to pick between the two. I'm not doing it. I can't pick. Danny Loops asks, my two questions are, what motivated you to create your YouTube channel, and how did you manage the negative in social media? So like I said, I started YouTube because of my Lyme disease. I wanted to get more word out about the disease to people who were suffering with the same thing, and there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of information from doctors or on the internet about it. And how do I imagine, how do I deal with the negative? I basically like, I think in the beginning, like I would get like pissed off, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, it's just people with no lives, like basically harassing you and just trying to get a rise out of you. So in the beginning, I would like kind of like mouth off to them. Now I just delete. Like if somebody says something, I'm just like delete. I just don't have time for it. It's stupid. I don't want negativity in my life, so I just don't bother with it. So I just delete anything negative on any of my social media platforms. Or I have somebody. Sometimes I have some other people like go after them for me and leave a comment or something, like Retro Death or whatever. He's like really good at like comebacks, because you know I've just like noticed from like past conversations with him, and like he's on YouTube and stuff and dealing with people, so he's used to it. I'm horrible at like comebacks. I'm just like, yeah, you suck. And then he has like this whole long thing like that he like writes out basically telling the person off. And it's just like, I don't know, I just find it comical. So sometimes I'd be like, this person said something about me, go tell them off. But not so much anymore. More so in the past. This is from my girl Lita Ferry, and she says, congrats. My question is, what is your favorite place you have traveled to so far? My favorite place I've traveled to was England. I really liked it there, even though I think I was only there a couple days. It was, I just really love it. I loved it there. Like I just loved the whole like way everything looked, the culture, the way people talked. Like I just really thought it was a really cool place, and like I have not seen like a mere like ounce of like what it has to hold, because I really want to go back and see more of it. More of like the countryside and things like that I would like to see, because I was in London, so I still want to go back there, but I would like to see more of it. Let's see. Oh, Cemetery Goth. She asks, she says, yay, congrats, my dear friend. A question for me is, what is one of your favorite 80s bands? Because I really love 80s hair metal. I listen to all different types of music. If you've been here for a while, you know I listen to like goth music, I listen to like metal, I listen to country music, I listen to alternative music. So for as far as 80s like hair metal, glam metal, my favorite band would have to be LA Guns. I just feel like they had a really unique sound, and I really love Phil Lewis's voice. And they're actually coming around, I think this week or next week, or I might have already missed it. But I've seen them quite a few times perform live, and I just think they're great. They still sound awesome. So that's like basically they're like my top 80s band. And then another question is from Sour Candy Queen, and it is, when did you decide to become goth? I didn't really decide to become goth. You know, I know a lot in my videos I'll be like label things as goth, like, oh, like goth hall, or like, you know, my favorite like goth this or that, you know what I mean, or like goth girl does this. But it's merely just so like people, if they're looking for a specific thing, can find my videos. The same thing with metal, like metal this, or my favorite metal songs, you know, because I don't consider myself just goth. I consider myself like, I don't know, a metalhead, gothic, darkly inclined person. So I'm not just one thing. I got into goth in the 90s when I was a teenager, and it was one of my boyfriends at the time. Him and a friend of his, they were really into the goth scene and like going to the clubs, and they knew a lot of people and music and stuff like that. And I specifically remember they put on this mixtape of all different goth bands, and I was like, what is this? Like specifically, like I already knew who The Cure was, but there was other Cure songs on there that like I hadn't heard before, and a mix of like all different goth bands. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I really like this. I know like a lot of people just to be goth is just listen to the music. I always consider like there's an aesthetic to it too. Like obviously like people dress in black and like the makeup that they wear and stuff. And I saw like the people they were hanging out with and how they dressed, and they had like that gothic-y look to them. And I really liked it a lot. And I was like, it was like basically it was like a missing part of my life that like I didn't know about. You know what I mean? It was really crazy. And then I started going to the goth clubs with them, and that was like some of the best times of my life. Going to the goth clubs and like just meeting people, having fun, dancing, listening to the music. It was just great. So like I want to say it was in the 90s, probably like around like 1996 or so, that I started getting into more goth music and the goth aesthetic. So that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for asking me all those questions. If you haven't already, please think about subscribing to my YouTube. And also down below in the description box, there'll be links to my Patreon if you want to become a patron and get patron-only content. There's also my Ko-fi for a one-time Ko-fi donation. You can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter, and all those good things down below. So again, thank you guys so much, and until next time, stay dark, my friends, and I will talk to you guys later.